Hi there everybody. As you might have seen in my previous video about the Playseat Challenge review, I'm forced to use a Playseat Challenge because I don't really have that much room in my flat. The fact it folds away is absolutely ideal for me. Unfortunately though, it isn't the most sturdy thing going. So I'm not totally sure if this is just because I've had mine a couple of years and it's getting a bit worn out, or the fact that I've put a Fanatec CSW 2.5 on it, which is a bit more heavy duty. But I'm noticing quite a lot of play forward and back on the wheel, as you can see here. So I decided to see if there's anything I can do about this. Ultimately, I went on Google, typed in reinforcement for Playseat Challenge. I didn't really find much, but I did find this, which is a 3D printed part, which said that it helps take out a lot of this forward and back kind of motion. At first I couldn't really understand exactly what this was or how it actually worked, but having looked at it a bit further, I think there's basically a larger piece that goes over the top of the existing housing, and then another piece that goes inside that's slightly larger, and then you slot it together, and I think it just makes it a lot tighter around the traditional kind of bit that it clamps into. Obviously the main advantage of the Playseat is it folds away, and you can open it to get in and out. So obviously I want something that allows me to still do that. Unfortunately, I don't have a 3D printer. However, I did find that somebody was selling these 3D printed in China by the looks of it. Quite a few of these on eBay, all different sellers. So I don't know what this really is. I think it's probably Chinese sellers taking 3D part diagrams and just producing things, not really knowing 100% what they are. But I ordered it anyway, and it took quite a while. I think it took a few weeks, maybe even a month to turn up, and here it is. So 2 bits, not printed very well at all. It was quite a rough print. Did feel pretty sturdy though, but unfortunately when I tried to fit it, it didn't actually fit. So I actually got these bits and I got some sandpaper and sanded them down. So sanded a lot of the kind of roughness off, and also just made it slightly thinner so that it would actually fit in the parts that they were meant to fit and over the parts they were meant to fit. Hopefully didn't compromise anything too much, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I don't think the original 3D printing part maker or designer actually probably gets any credit or anything from the Chinese sellers, but I wanted to try it, so I just bought it from them anyway. So one of the parts essentially goes over this bit here, which is the sort of hinge that the whole wheel rig bit goes into, and then the other part goes into the end here, which is the bit that goes into that last piece. And so you have to put the wider bit over the top, so push the button in and get that round, and then obviously have the other bit in. The other bit took quite a bit of getting into here. I had to sand it down quite a lot, and then actually had to kind of basically hammer that in so it actually went flush into the end. And so that's both bits on there, and then it's just a case of actually trying to get that back into the wheel over here, and then once that's in, that actually kind of pushes right in and right over the top, and initial impression, it did actually feel a little bit better. So the other thing I wanted to try to get rid of was the slight rocking in the actual plate. So I bought these sort of weird kind of camera clamps off eBay. They basically go really loose, as you can see here, and then when you turn the dial you can make it completely lock in a certain position. And so my aim with these is to use them on the rig to kind of prop up the back of the wheel stand plate so that it doesn't flex around as much. So you can see basically the way I've got it mounted, the back of it is obviously hanging off with no support. So this was just something I wanted to try to see if I could take a bit more flex out if possible. And so essentially I've got one mounted on one side and one mounted on the other side. I have actually experimented in a few different places with these. Essentially they're pushing upwards while the thing's pushing downwards, and you can sort of see that's what it's like when they're not on. You see they're pretty firm, and then obviously that goes down. So this is kind of after pulling forward and back. It looks a lot better. There is still some flex, but it feels quite a lot more solid than it was before. And then finally, this is a bit of side-by-side comparison before and after, going over the same bits of track on the Nürburgring. There's definitely still flex in the after, but the actual forward and back flexing, I think, has been reduced. So in conclusion, did it work? Is it worth it? Not 100% sure. It may have been that my Playseat was a bit tired out. Also, I don't really remember having this problem when I had the T300 on there. So it may partially just be the higher force feedback of the Clubsport, or just the fact that the seats got a bit worn out. It does seem to have done something, although there is definitely still flex there. I think I probably got more bang for the buck from the Chinese 3D printed part when that actually did fit. I'm not totally convinced with the clamps. I don't know if they're heavy duty enough, and maybe I could do something better with some better clamps. But overall, I think it's improved it slightly at least, and hopefully this helps for anybody that's got the same problem. Once again, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks.